Y aquellos que nos siguen en
I'd like to thank all of you attending and everybody following us on streaming. I would like to thank Fundación Telefónica for granting us this space. For years they've been collaborating with this festival. I wish to thank embassies that have cooperated, like the French Embassy, Casa de México, the Autónoma University of Mexico in Madrid, and Austria's Cultural Forum. I imagine I forget other members, so I leave you in the hands of Manrique, who is cultural director of this foundation. Welcome. This is the 8th edition. It's amazing that we have had 8 editions already. I'll introduce in Spanish and then I'll ask questions in English, although there is simultaneous interpreting if someone has any problem. Let's begin with Eva Aridjis, who comes from Mexico. She has written and produced 6 feature films and documentaries. I'd like to explain the movie, which is shown in Caja de México, Adiós Caballos, and muchas vidas de Q Lazzarus. Goodbye Horses, The Many Lives of Q Lazzarus. Those of you interested, and I do recommend the movie, you'll have the opportunity to view it on the 7th of November at 7th at Casa de México Foundation in Madrid. Next to her is Charlène from France. She was trained in filmmaker training in Lyon and also La Famille in Amen Famille, which is like a benchmark for all of us in Spain. We all love it when we can go there. She has had a movie shown at the Cannes Festival, Slalom, a best-selling movie in many countries, and she's also worked for arts, for television. I could not have the time to explain everything. Her movie is called Oxana. It's available at the auditorium of the French Institute on the 5th of November. It will be shown at 5 p.m. At 8 p.m. Next is Evi Romen from the north of Italy. Her movie is Austrian. She worked as an editor for many years, for 20 years. And she changed, as many of us have changed, and she's now in screenwriting. She has won several awards. She's co-screenwriter of Siena City House of Murder, which was shown for the first time in Berlinale Festival. She's here with Happyland, which will be viewed on Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Filmoteca. And lastly, we'll hear from Sarah Goher, an Egyptian-American filmmaker and producer, born and raised in the Bronx area. A different style of person. From Jennifer Lopez. She is a former student of Jennifer Balcom. She has worked in Amiga and Moon Knight, the Marvel Studios, among others. She's also showing a movie on Wednesday, the 5th. Will be shown at 8:30, also at the Filmoteca. I encourage all of you to go to the theater and watch these movies, because you will not have many opportunities to view these movies. We've worked hard on the committee to offer you the best of the best, the most diverse movies and the most special works of this year's Aquí. I would be very happy if you go and watch only one, and they'll be very happy as well. Our round table.
Title. You will say, why this title? Okay, apart from showcasing the works of female directors, it's very important for us to encourage new generation of women filmmakers to go for it, because we feel, or I feel, that sometimes women, we judge ourselves very hardly, and sometimes we are our worst enemies, and sometimes we are scared to dream big. So it's very important for us not only showcases your films and films from all over the world, but also to encourage, as I said, these new filmmakers. I think that usually through our experience, because every experience is different, everybody arrives to directing through different paths. I think it's very interesting because that's a way of losing fear, and jump into the void and go for it. So, Eva, please tell us a little bit about your experience. You're also a writer, so...
Yeah. So I grew up in Mexico City, and even though I always loved cinema, I grew up in a literary family and reading and writing a lot and painting and doing photography and music, and I couldn't really choose between all these different mediums because I loved all of them. And then one day I realized that film was actually the perfect way of combining all of them. Images, color, photography, sound, music, language, writing. So for me, becoming a filmmaker really was, even though I think it's the most challenging of all of those mediums, because you need so many people and so much money to even create the work, and then you still need to get the work out to the world, whereas for musicians and painters and writers, they can sort of do their work on their own with very little money, and then they have the challenge of getting it out. I do think it is also the medium that's the most complete, because it really mimics the real world, with the stories and the characters, whether it's fiction or documentary. Cinema is sort of the art form that really allows us to sort of, dream with our eyes open. Yeah.
Okay, Charlène?
Alors, me, I grew up in a ski resort in Val d'Isère in the French Alps. So I was really like a mountain girl of really nothing, bringing myself to cinema. My parents were really not working in cinema. My mother was a bit an artist, painter, so maybe she encouraged me in this artistic way. But if I become a filmmaker, it's because I had a lot of anger and violence and rebellion. I was finding myself really different from others, so I couldn't really relate to other people on my age, and I experienced like sexual abuse when I was a teenager in sport. That was the subject of my first film, and that was really for me a catharsis, psychological surgery. So I was really not lost, because I had always this how can I say, strength. I had this relation with art and with the nature as well. But it was really how could I find my place, my area in this world? How could I really be in peace? My parents always encouraged me to do something I really love. They always told me they understood I was not really normal. When I was a kid, I was not good at school. I was a bit special. So they didn't tell me, study something. They say, don't study, that's not for you. Just try to find your path, your something you're really passionate. Actually, after when I was 18, I live in London. I did a theater school. That was not really good experiences. And after I just went to travel. I did like many small jobs. I was a ski teacher, I was a waitress, I was in New Zealand, in Australia. I was really traveling with my van, trying to find who I was on where this anger and this violence in me were coming from. I start to I stopped in a little hippie community with people who wanted to save the world, and I was with all those people. And I find a small camera, and I start to film, and that's how I made my first film. And after I did short film, and I did my first feature about my hardest experience when I was a teenager, sexual abuse in ski. So, yeah.
Wow.
On famous actually, the famous school came. I was 30 years old. I didn't do the real school. I did a workshop, 1 year writing workshop. So because it took me. I really started by myself, producing my film with no money, making film, and after I went to La Fémis.
Okay. Evi?
First of all, I have to say, your first movie is a wonderful piece. I love it. I didn't realize it before, sorry.
Thank you.
My congratulations. Yes, more or less same story. I grew up in the mountains as well, in a small town in South Tyrol, Alto Adige. And, but I spent it half year in the mountains up because we had like 2 locations where we stayed. Well, I always wanted to become a writer. My parents said, okay, this is in the family because my grandfather was a journalist and everything okay, but you just need a pen and a paper. So maybe you learn something you can use, and writing you can do every time. And well, then I started photography, and I was on Salzburg Summer Academy. This is for art students usually, but I don't know why I got there. I went there, and they showed me I had nothing to do with cinema at all, like you, and but a lot of anger. And I was 17, and they said to me, "What you are doing is montage," and I was like, "Oh, great, film editing, film montage, and this and that." And it was a new name, and cinema and film was first time in my vision. And so, but I did this only because I didn't have enough paper for my photographies. So I was printing the small stripes, and I was cutting them and putting them on papers and writing something just because I didn't have enough paper and I didn't have the money for the paper. So after that, I went to cinema because there was a free job in a little, we call it program cinema. No, it's art house cinema. Yeah, it's small. It was it's in my hometown Bolzano, and there I learned everything you need for having a cinema. I did projection, everything. Yeah, and we started a festival then, the Bolzano Film Festival. Now it's a huge festival. Then we did it only because we had to thank the distributors, because as it's Italy, but it's a German part of Italy, we had always these problems how to show the movies because of the rights, because if there is no Italian rights and this and that, but Austrian and Germans and also Italians and from Switzerland and France, everyone was helping us. I remember that I went with the car together with my chef to the Brennero. This is the border, and we put film in, and then we just showed it. Well, after that I went to Rome, and there was Shopper for 2 weeks. I wanted to bring my material to Cinecittà, to Centro Sperimentale, and after 2 weeks I gave up, and I said, okay, let's do Germany or Austria, they are more organized maybe. And on my way to Berlin, I stopped in Vienna, and there they got me on film school, so I stayed there, and I studied photography. As a woman, and no one was asking me in my small hometown, very Catholic hometown, Italy, why as a woman I want to be a DOP. But in the big town, for me, big town, Vienna, I found out that it's quite strange to have this wish or to learn this as a woman. So I did both. I did editing and cinematography. I stopped cinematography at a certain point. And then I was an editor for a long time, but I didn't stop writing. I wrote a lot of prosa and poems, and yes, and after winning a lot of editing prizes, I won the prize, the Austrian Film Award, and there you need to sit on the stage all the time, on the whole ceremony. And I was sitting there, and I was thinking, no one of these people here who voted for me has seen this movie, because it was because it was a movie. It was an opera movie with Veronica Ferres and John Malkovich, and it was singing, and it was opera. It was an essay, and quite interesting for editing. But I was sure no one saw this movie, and said, okay, maybe this is a life award. That they think, okay, Evi has to get this at least once, yeah. And now she's 50. I was 50 already then, and so. Meanwhile, I was sitting there watching them and thinking about my life. I said, okay, maybe it's time for a change, because yes, if it's a lifetime award, you may be over the point and you need a new challenge. So I wrote Hochwald. I won a prize for the treatment, and so yeah, then it went on. And the first movie was not as hard as the second. And later maybe I tell you why. It has a lot to do with being a female filmmaker.
I totally agree on that. Sarah, please tell us a little bit how you came to be.
So, I mean, I think for me it was pretty simple. I wasn't really seeing people like myself on TV or in cinema as an Arab American. And I was 14 when September 11 happened. And that's when it started to get just kind of this notion of identity. And also, I happen to have two parents who secretly aspired to be artists, but just for family or cultural reasons did not manifest. So they were just like working in the public sector, in the Board of Education in New York. But my dad, he used to collect cameras, and he taught me photography. And my mom always wanted to be an actress, and her dad was like, no. So I just felt like I was very lucky that they were encouraging when I told them, okay, well, there's a filmmaking class at school. And so when I was in high school, that was the first time I decided to dabble in filmmaking. And I felt like this is such a powerful medium. And especially in the context of the Arab identity in the U.S. during this time, during the Iraqi war, when people don't know who you are or how you look like or what your life is like. I had girls after 9/11 ask me, and I go to school with them. They're like, so do you guys really walk like this in Egypt? And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like one of the best schools in the entire country, and I'm being asked this like after 9/11 simply because you're not seeing people or stories like my people on TV. And if you are, you're seeing them probably in the most skewed and inconsiderate and in the wrongest way. And again, there's what's great about the world, just so before we give up on humanity, this has been an explosive year for Arab films. You look at all the films coming out this year, the Hind Rajab film, the Palestine 36. My film is now the Egyptian nomination for the Oscar. Iraq has an incredible film, The President's Cake. So everything is kind of coming into a greater space for more inclusive and diverse filmmaking. But yeah, I grew up with my dad. I feel like he would have, if he had the chance, if nobody was telling him, no, you have to, have a legit, 9-to-5 job, play it safe kind of career, I'm sure he would have wanted to be a director. So he was my introduction into cinema. The first film he showed me was The Red Balloon, the French film. And that film stayed with me until now. And even after making my film, which is airing tomorrow, of course I'll promote my film anyway since I'm here, I realized that film actually has so much influence on me as a filmmaker and even on the film that I made. So that's my 2 cents about myself.
Okay, great. This is why I always like to start with this question, because as you have seen, everybody's story is different, but there is a common place. It is that you need to find your way of expressing something. You are not completely settled, and it's okay, not everybody needs to be expressing things. We are all different, but the common thing that I always find in this table is that a need of expressing yourself, sometimes because you don't see people like you portrayed in cinema or in society, sometimes because you are furious with the world, sometimes for many other reasons, but you need to express something that you don't know how. And something that you said really well, Eva, is that I think cinema is an art form or a way of expression, or whatever you want to call it, that enables you to touch different disciplines. So it's very, it's very complete from that sense. It's also very painful because we have to find the money to make the films, and that is the part that is always a struggle. So that brings me to the second question. It's not a question, it's a reflection. It's more like, okay, of course we are all different and we all share like cultural affinities. Of course I'm from Spain, so I share a lot of cultural affinities with the Spanish people, maybe from people from Latin America because I speak the same language. But my question is, do you think that the first differentiation of a film is that is made by a woman? Do you think that is, or do you think that being a woman is just part of the many other things that are put into your art? Meaning that, of course, you are from Mexico, so when you watch your film, there are, your Mexican identity, your identity as a woman, your past, your family. Do you think being a woman weighs more, or is just one other thing?
So in the same way that I became a filmmaker because I didn't want to limit myself, and I loved all the different art forms and mediums. As a filmmaker, I've directed 2 narrative features and 4 documentary features. I've written for television, for Narcos, and I've written screenplays. So I've gone back and forth between TV, film, directing, writing, documentary, fiction. And for me personally, in my work, there are certain themes that are recurring. It's not necessarily, the film I'm showing here this year is definitely the story of a very strong, fascinating, talented woman.
Excuse me all, but in this table this year, other years no, but this year, all of the films, the main character are women. Other years no, Other years was different. But most of the time, it happens that the main characters are women. But especially this year, Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. So, obviously every filmmaker has their own style and their own themes that they return to. The themes that I return to over and over again are sort of marginalized communities. So I did a film about street kids in Mexico City. I did a documentary about the Santa Muerte, narrated by Gael Garcia Bernal. I did a documentary about a Mexican family with hypertrichosis, so they're very hairy, and they call them the wolf people.
I've seen it.
You saw it, Chuy el Hombre Lobo. So these 3 films were all about marginalized communities in Mexico. And then my fiction film one was a horror film about a shape-shifting witch in Mexico, and another was about a broken family in the United States. So I'm very interested also in mysticism and spirituality. My next film is going to be fiction about Maria Sabina, who was the Mexican. She would heal people with hallucinogenic mushrooms. But that's a biopic.
It's very well known in Spain.
Yes,
like a lot of people from my generation, I have on my fridge, a sticker with Maria Sabina.
So I met her as a child.
With the smoke of, what?
I have to Google it.
And the mushroom guru.
I met her as a child.
Did you?
Yeah, my parents brought her to Mexico City to have their doctor treat her because she was very sick. She was dying. And at this point in Oaxaca, she was completely forgotten. Nobody cared about her. She was an outcast in her own community. So the film is a biopic about her whole life. But anyway, going back to my original point, I've sort of worked in different mediums, but for me, as a woman, I find that it's been easier for me to make documentaries because you need a lot less money, especially at the beginning. You need more money for post-production, for editing, for cleaning up the sound, the image. You find the story in the editing room, so it can take years editing, but for filming, you don't need actors, you don't need locations, you just need a very small crew. And I find that you don't need, but more than anything, you don't need permission from the industry, from the investors, from the producers. You can just start making your films. And then once you have something, you can sort of look for the money. So especially in Mexico, it's been much easier as a woman to make documentaries. And I think you also have an advantage as a female director making documentaries because the people that you're filming, they inherently trust you more as a woman. So I think it gives you a sensitivity and it helps also with the relationship with your subjects. But yeah, so for me, being a woman, that's what's affected my work the most is being able to find money more easily or being able to just do my work more easily in the documentary space, because with fiction, it's much harder.
Okay. No. Voila, madame.
So the question is how being a woman...
Is it like the main difference in your work? I mean, or do you think like when you watch a film made by a woman, is the first thing that you notice is this film is made by a woman? How important do you think is that? How influences you?
No, me for sure. It's like all my film are the main character of my films. They're always women. It's always the same story that I'm telling. I hope one day I will maybe tell something different, but I'm still doing the same film in a different way. But it's always a woman who gets violence and trauma, who need to really experience the resilience and to reborn out of the ash, so that's to get free. That's always that's really came from my own experiences as a woman. So this is really part of my heart, definitely. Until now, I could do my film with not too much trouble. It took me, maybe 10 years to do the first one, but as I told before, I really produced my short film. I was doing everything by myself, and after I went to the Femis because I knew that if I wanted to be recognized and to maybe have the money to do the first feature, I had to pass through this school because I was really no one. So I really quickly understood how it works, the business industry, and after I think you have to play with the cards and with the rule and the game. So I think that women directors, they always have less money than man director, and that's make me really upset actually.
That was gonna be my next question.
And my next film, actually the film I will show tomorrow, Oxana, It has been well financed, and it was not easy because it's an Ukrainian film. I did in Ukrainian language with a Ukrainian actress who live in Kiev, so that was really that was not easy to finance the film, but we could finance it. It was like 5 million, so it's like a good budget. But for example, my next film, it's an action movie. It's a bit Catherine Bigelow in the surf world film, you know, with two women, really badass woman surfer, and I know that I will never have the same budget as a male director. So I will probably do this film with, if I'm lucky, 5 million. Like to go further, to get the 10, the 12, the 15 million that men have to do this kind of film, I know it's much more harder. On my first film, I did it with really no money, and I was like, I get no money, and it was like so much work. So I had a job on the side, you know. Now I can live with my film, but you know, it was so this is something. I don't know if it's really part of the question, but...
No, my next question, because, okay, I always go with these papers that I was going to read it to you, but, you know, even if I don't want to be Europe-centric, I have all these studies that talks about... if you're interested, you go to the European Audiovisual Observatory, where they publish every year these figures about the percentage of women filmmakers and the budget that women filmmakers get. So I mean, I'm not gonna read you all the you know, but just to know, only 25% of the female workforce in Europe are women. I'm not even talking about directors. Workforce. If you go to Cine,
Is this in the film industry or across the entire, all industries?
All industry, you know, it's film industry. Film industry, because we don't. I guess I don't know if it's film or TV. It just says film industry. No, in European film industry. Okay, I'm not gonna bore you with figures. I'm just gonna give you some very simple ones, and we continue with Evi. Actually, it says that at this speed we will reach parity by 2047, which is not bad. But 2047, we are in 25. Is in 27 years with politics of incentive, especially women quotas. Thanks to women quotas, we will make it in 2047. But with women quotas, without quotas, forget it. Okay, I'm just going to be very brief, but because you go to the page, European Audiovisual Observatory, and you can download and see all the figures. It's very easy. Okay. There was an increase in the last 10 years of 3%.
Only
in the last 10 years, yes, 3%. Great. Okay, directors now, there are 27% directors. Screenwriters, 31%. Producers, this is a lot more, 35%. Okay, is cinematographers, only 14%. Composers, 13%, and editors, 30%. Composers 13, editors 30. So, of course, we will continue with Eva and Sarah, but, just keep these figures in your mind. Because
this is Europe. For Latin America and Asia and Africa, I'm sure it's going to be much more than 22 years.
Because that leads me to the reflection that you were, to the thought that you were saying that, of course, the budget for women are a lot less everywhere. Anyway, let's try to blend all together.
No, I respond on this as well. Actually, I didn't think about being a female or male in this business. I grew up with boys and girls, and I have brothers and sisters, and it was very wild, and all the dangerous things we did together. So I don't know, it wasn't in my mind. Yeah, then I realized on my studies on cinematography that, okay, there is a difference. But then I worked as an editor, so I was a head of department, and I had a quite good career, and I was respected. Then I did my first movie, and it was quite easy to get the money, because then I found out, oh, it's a jackpot. I'm a woman, I'm a writer, director, and I'm from South Tyrol. They have a good funding. And so I said, okay. Well, I got the money, and then another female director came to me and said, oh, are you happy that we fight it for you? All the work we did before for that females can do movies. I said, what? We were always able to do movies. What are you talking about? Yeah. So I got a bit in the mix of, okay, what are they talking about? And what is this new, for me, strange feminism in film business? It was the beginning. Yeah? My first movie, I went into the box ring, and I was like, the producer was more or less bleeding at the end. And I behaved like an Italian furia. And, well, it was then quite successful for debut. On the second, in the meantime, a lot of things changed, and we were thinking more about women in this business, and how do we feel, how, yes, talking about the numbers you were reading before. And then my second movie, I realized on funding that I was quite unsure, because it was the second one, and I wanted to do a very special thing, but they were always on these funding discussions where I was like, no happy end of this. And I was weaker than I was before. Because in all this discussion of is it male or female, I lost a bit this male power I had before, because I wanted to behave as a woman. I am a woman, yeah? And I said, okay, and then after my hearing, there was famous Austrian director. He did a lot of movies, not very good movies. So, because in Austria, male directors always say, yeah, but if you do a good movie, it's just a good movie, and it has nothing to do with male or female. And our answer as a female, I'm also part of FC Gloria, that's a female filmmakers club, and our answer is, why aren't we allowed to do bad movies? And well, I did my hearing. I was quite confused because I was weak, I was female, I was unsure, and I wasn't that confident with that movie. Confidence is a very important thing you need, and you can learn it from men. Well, to make a long story short, the man after me, this a friend of mine told me, but I can share it with you because I'm in Spain now. He entered the room saying, well, this is the project, and you know me, you know us, just give us the money. You know that we're doing a good thing. Well, he got the money. And yes, after a lot of fighting, I got the money for the second movie. And it was a movie, it is Happyland. I did a lot of TV stuff and other things, and I was writing a lot of things, but for cinema, it's my second one. And it's about a woman on a certain age. And I think this was the reason why it was difficult to finance it. And because I behaved as a woman. Broken also by this team, because it has a lot to do. The first movie was about 2 young boys, so it was easier. I just showed my brothers here. So, but it had a lot to do also with me and with female things, and quite difficult. And I lost my power, and then I found out that before all these over 30 years in this business, I was behaving as a man. And everyone thought, okay, Evi is the cool one. She's rock and roll, he's cool, she's da da da. And yes, but no, I'm a woman. And I don't want to be anymore this cool one seen by man. What's a cool woman?
Okay, Sarah from the Bronx.
I love how no one's ever referred to me as such, but I'm really I'm quite intrigued by my new Nomer. So I have to go back to, we've been like jumping all over subjects, but to be honest, if your question was the sensibility of being a woman in my, in terms of film, I go back to what she said in the beginning, which is there's so much more trust you gain from your subject, from your actors, I feel. Especially, my film has to do with children, and so I was in a way a maternal figure to my actors throughout the process. So I is there a fatherly version of me who could have made this film? I'm pretty sure there could have been. This is also a personal story, so there's that, but it could have been a personal story for that father, fatherly director figure. But I do say that being a woman, you tend to be seen as a maternal figure even within the profession as like, okay, well, if something's not working out, I'm sure she'll be understanding about it. If we can't, if we can't deliver or finish something, there's always, and I get it. I mean, it could be that cultured, that we're indoctrinated to see that mothers are very forgiving, very accommodating, and maybe that's how we've been as an industry. Meanwhile, the fact that, men have been at it for so long, building this industry in a way, I would say. So sometimes maybe the new generations are like already, there's a certain entitlement to certain aspects of the process that we're not, we haven't acquired that sense of entitlement because we haven't put in the years and we haven't been there long enough in the scene. And the other thing is, because there is such a debate around it, it's always like, well, we're here talking about it. So when there is a debate about something, there's always going to be someone who's out there who's going to be like, okay, so show us what you can do. That scrutiny that comes from women. Okay, you guys have been saying it's not fair. Okay, let's see you do it. Okay, and they're watching us and they're waiting for us to like, to kind of to falter. And again, I feel that a lot of it is culture. Now, there is an interesting find that I came across a couple of days ago. And I know everyone in Hollywood, everyone's always like, oh, we need to like even the number of women who are going to Cannes. We need to even the number of female, and even when I was working at a major studio, there was always this kind of like, okay, we need to have some more women, not just in these kinds of positions on set, but in other positions. Great. There's something that we're forgetting about this industry. It's called star power. In the past few years, the major stars who are kind of the ones who are the reason projects are getting greenlit, they're not asking for female directors. And if they're not asking for them, then again, that's another aspect that will impact the progression of women in this field. Now, for me, what's interesting is she's making a Catherine Bigelow type film. That's an anomaly. Because usually when you think of female filmmakers, you're thinking of, okay, we need them for projects that have a female sensibility. There's something about love, women, children, yada, yada, yada. We have a very interesting situation in Egypt where the women are actually killing it in TV, especially. Like, why? Because they understand what goes on in the, you know, in la casas de las tías y las abuelas. They know what conversations are happening. They know the secrets, and this is what the audience wants to hear. And so I find it interesting that we were talking about statistics in Europe. Our part of the world, ironically, I'm not seeing that, to be honest, which is kind of interesting because we're always seen as the developing, you know, territory in X, Y, and Z issues. Okay, but yeah.
No, totally. That's. I wish I could have like figures like from all over the world, but you know, maybe my fault because I didn't look for them. I know in Latin America, Ibermedia does something like that, but it's not as precise as the European Audiovisual, you know, Observatory, blah blah. But yeah, it's like something that we should, we should put a little bit focus on that.
I will say, I mean, this was in 2010, but when I was making the only fiction film I've made in Mexico, which was about the horror film about the witch in Chiapas, I had a union crew, and they told me that it was all the guys in the union said it was the first time they were working with a female director.
Anyway, we had like in the beginning of our festival, Diego can tell you better, but we had the first country in the world that implemented quotas was Sweden, and we had the director of the Swedish Film Institute, Anna Senner, and she told us that after 10 years of quotas, they decided to stop. It was not 50-50, but it was something, I don't remember the exact figures, it was something like 44, 62, 52 or something like that. You know, it was not 50-50, and they decided to stop quotas to see how it was going. It was just like 2 years or something that they had stopped the quotas, so they wanted to do like a study like further in time, you know, and they realized that sometimes you just need to encourage population, because it's not only about the fact of getting our films produced, it's also about the fact of getting our films seen. Oh, another female film. Oh, boring. And then no, there are, you know, more and more there are female doing horrors, there are female doing thrillers, there are female doing films that are not like in the sort of domestic, you know, female approach. So yeah, I think the next challenge is to be able to, because the same way that we watch a lot of films made by men, some men, they have a problem watching films made by a woman. You know, they do have a problem. And then when they watch it, they are like, okay, I liked it, it's good. For instance, like you were saying, the Catherine Bigelow film is like, woo, super male in the way of filming, but maybe there is not a way, a female way of filming or a male way of filming. It's just that traditionally the films that we've been able to do is rom-coms, romantic comedies, different things, but I think we are able to do absolutely everything. No? Anyway, with this reflection, I also wanted to, for me it's very important that we mention, you know, like a female director, because it's amazing. Sometimes I teach also in university, and I'm with my students, and I'm like, come on, tell me the names of directors. I never say female or male. If I say, tell me the name of your 10 favorite, we're not going to do it, but if I ask, tell me the name of your 10 favorite directors, there is never a woman included. And then I start asking, but how about Alice Guy Blanchet, for instance? That was one of the women that inspired more. A French female director, black and white. She made like a lot of films in the pre-Hollywood industry. Most of them attribute to her husband. And when Hitchcock was asked in the 60s, one of your favorite directors, he said, Alice Guy Blanchet, for instance, no? And we could go on and on. So for me, it's very important that we also refer.
But I just want to say I'm not trying to support what your students are saying, but to what they're saying, there's a statistical reality to it. If I ask you, go into a candy shop and find me, what's your favorite fruit? There's no fruits in the candy shop. So how are you, like, I can't blame them. At the same time, there's a generational change in the industry. And there's also numbers that kind of unfortunately yield this. I do think, back to the note about the quotas in Sweden, I feel like there has been kind of a bit of a danger with quotas in the sense that if you do get a job, it's kind of like affirmative action in the sense that you are kind of, there's going to be someone out there who's looking at you as, okay, you're the token female director, so we will just keep you as the token, but we're going to do what we need to do because, we're just bringing you on board to say that we're on point with the agenda.
Yeah, but if you don't do anything, nothing ever changes.
Yeah.
If you don't do anything,
100%.
but not only that, it's like, we've been having quotas in this country for 10 years, approximately, a little bit less, 7 years, I will say. A lot of the female directors, they have gone to Cannes, which is something like, Cannes, Venice. They have won, like in our major festival, which is San Sebastian, they have won the major prize, So what it means, it doesn't mean that because there are quotas that you are going to be, you are useless and you don't have any, you are the worst DP in the world and you're getting the job because you're a woman. No. You have to prove yourself even more.
100%.
And I think otherwise, unless you have quotas, nothing changes. And as the Swedish director of the Swedish Film Institute, she said, it's a temporary measure. This is not forever. It's just to dynamize society,
it's important on the surface level to do this, but it's also important that people start changing their mindsets within the industry.
Totally.
Because that will allow for more change.
And I think what you said is true, that, the actors who are, usually the ones that are allowing all these productions to raise the money, they need to be
a part of this
work
discussion.
with women more, especially because a lot of the big name actors right now are women. A lot of the actors that can bankroll a film are women, or a TV series. But I think it's also, I think it's changing. But film is also an industry where a lot of people who go to see movies, they'll go see it because of the actors. And sometimes they're not even paying that much attention to who the director is, But what Evi said is, like, it's much harder for women to make mistakes and fail. Like, you make a film, and if it's not a huge commercial or critical success or both, it's very hard to make your next film. Whereas men will make one film after another, and they can be like the biggest failures at the box office, or just, on an artistic level.
Because
their careers continue.
That's 100%
But
true.
it's also on set, I found out, because as I was acting as a man in my first movie, there was always like, bam, and this and that, and I was full of energy. And on the second, I was just a bit blown away because it was a different story also. It was a female story, and the interesting thing is that when you are not standing your man, as a man, when you're thinking, oh my God, what do I tell to the actor? I don't know what. Confusion. Everyone is going to smoke a cigarette, waiting that the genius finds his idea. As a woman, no one is going to smoke a cigarette. Maybe you, because you try to escape, and everyone is waiting, like okay. So what do you, but yesterday you said, just like, what the fuck, let me think, and I think this circle you put on, I'm not talking about what you have here, I'm just on behaving, this wall you built yourself, acting as a male, is bigger than ours as a woman. But I don't want to play the man, as I said before. I want to, just have my space as a woman and be respected. I have to say something for quota, because I was thinking like you before, and it was a big discussion in Austria, and there is a lot of hate now, but the quota works. And we have more than Jessica Hausner in Cannes now.
No, of course, everybody's. What I've been realizing in my own experience of watching, especially European industry, because it's the one I live in and the one I know better. I wish I will a little bit also the Latin American. I'm not extremely familiar with the studio system, to be honest. With the Hollywood studio system, I'm not very familiar because it's so far from me to, I don't see myself doing a film for a studio in the US. I prefer to concentrate it where I know. It's not that I'm limiting myself, but I prefer to concentrate, to put all my energy in things that I know they are closer and more easy to achieve. Anyway, in the tendency that I've been observing is that, as I said before, quota is just a way to dynamize in society. And as our guru, Anna Senner from the Swedish Film Institute, she will be laughing at me if I will call her our guru. But she said there has always been male quotas. They keep on giving, retro acting, giving them each other's jobs, giving them, like you see in the big corporations. And also what is very important, not just in terms of creativity, but it's important also in the decision-making process and the decision makers, which are usually in like TV companies, distribution companies, not that much in public entities because that is usually very mixed. But at the end of the day, you look at the people who is in the head of the European studios, Pate, blah, 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 or Catleya in Italy, for instance. There is not a single woman. So we are advancing very slowly.
I remember from Catleya when...
It's a big, for the people that doesn't know, Catleya is a big production and distribution group in Italy. I think it's the biggest, isn't it?
It's one of the biggest, yeah. And because of tax shelter, I had the accountants on my set. And my husband, also ex-husband, sorry, also director. And yes, coming out of a wallpaper, let's say, 2 meters, black glasses, parka, and as you imagine, a director. And I was sitting at the monitor shooting my movie. He was just visiting me. And suddenly I hear the guys from Catleya saying, but he's the director, isn't he? I said, no, it's a woman. And then another woman came and said, yeah, it's the little one with the basket. And they were like, who? And sitting there at the monitor doing her job. And said, we thought he's the director. So Catleya and the Italian way, yes. My sales manager is the only, she's not my sales manager anymore. It's Katia Rossi, maybe you know her. She's, I think, alone in this business. So on production side and on this business side, we need more women.
Okay, we don't have much time before we start with the questions, so I'm just going to go for the last thing. What advice will you give to a young filmmaker? And if it is a young female filmmaker, will it be the advice different than the advice you will give to a male filmmaker that is starting?
Should we start over there this time?
Yes, Sarah.
I love working with young people. I've worked on lots of projects, including this one, with very young people who it's their first time on a film set or whatnot. I would say just put yourself out there and try to find your voice. I think that's just try. I always say, even with my film, if your intention is to become a director, there's something you're never going to learn in film school. It's how to deal with people. That you learn in life. So I'd say get started on that. If your people skills could use some improvement, if you have, you need to be street smart, you need to learn how to hustle. It's not an easy game, whether you're a guy or a girl. I'm sorry. It's just really hard to get stuff made these days. But also, when the time is ready, make sure that you have found your voice and that you're telling the story that you feel is true to you. Because I always say that my film, if I had made it when I was fresh out of NYU, it would have been a very, I would not like it as me now. But I know I would have made that film just because I did not have enough experience as a human being. And so I just say, try to get as much experience as you can on a personal level as a person, human being, and try to really hone your stories. Don't rush into making a film just because you feel like, I'm 22, I need to make my first short. My parents just paid all this money in film school and now I need to show for it. Just really try also to find ways that you could learn on set, whether it's a small indie set or a larger feature film set or a TV set. Don't rush.
Good one.
The same thing they said to my daughter, who is a 19 years old filmmaking girl, and she applied to the film schools, and she got in the last rounds in Berlin and in other Germanies and Vienna, blah, blah, blah. And as in Vienna, there is my colleague, Barbara Albert, and she said to her, listen, girl, go and make some experiences. It's a good movie you did here for this exam, but we don't take you because you're 19 years old. And you need to make your experiences not in a school now. Go out. See the world.
No, me, of course, I agree with you too, but I will say something a bit weird, but I will say don't listen to you too much. Just feel it,
Don't
throw
take
it.
yourself seriously.
Just throw it, do it. Don't think too much, because the problem, I think if I did this film, is because I didn't think too much. I was just feeling so intensively the emotion that I just put it on the film, I didn't really think about the industry, the people, the blah, 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 no. And I think the problem with maybe the woman who want to become a filmmaker is they are afraid, they are lack of confidence. If you are, listening to us, it's very scary. Oh my God, no woman, no money for woman, blah, blah, blah. Don't listen to that. Just do it. If you have something to say, of course. If not, do something different.
Can I just say something about the money? I always say this because I was a producer before I made my film. Sean Baker, he went to Sundance with Tangerine, a film shot on an iPhone.
Yeah. Yes.
See, all you little ones are like, yeah, I know that film. Yeah, so you really, if you have an iPhone, you can make a film. Okay? But find your story first. Just find your story first, okay? Go ahead.
Don't shit in your pants. This is what I say to my students.
Well, yeah, it's just something going back to, making films because, as an artist, because it's a creative need and you have no choice, you have to make films. It's the only thing you want to do, it's the only thing you're excited to do. I would say just, use your imagination, use your creativity from the storytelling to the producing. If you want to make films, you can make them. Just find a way, even if there's you have no budget. You can film them for very cheap now. You can edit them yourself, especially documentaries. You can just go and film. Just don't go through the system, because it's going to be 100 times harder. And just produce work. And I don't know. I went to NYU Film School, and I feel like a lot of my colleagues there, in the 20 years since we finished, they've maybe made one film because they've been trying to go through the system with attaching name actors and then waiting for the money, and then it falls through, and then they go to the next one, and meanwhile, I did it all myself. I raised all the money myself on all 6 of my films, and it was a nightmare, and I don't want to do it anymore. But I have 6 films because I just did them however I could. And the one advantage to not having a lot of money or huge producers is you have much more creative freedom to make the film the way you want to. So I would just say, if you really want to make films, find a way to make them however you can. We've seen throughout cinema history so many totalitarian regimes, whether it was like, communist USSR, or where people, they find ways to, even thematically, to tell stories with these huge limitations. With censors, with no budget, with not being able to leave the country, creativity and your imagination will find a way. See it as a challenge,
Yeah, this is
and that's true for men or women.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the best advice ever. Go for it, and just get to the point of the things that matters and are important, and the things that are not important. They are not that important if they are not important, But yeah, thank you so much. We are going to listen to people that may want to ask some questions. There is a hand over there.
Good afternoon to everybody. I am Rafaela Porcelli de Lucia. I am a soundtrack composer, and I have 2 questions for our directors. The first one is, do you think that the soundtrack of a movie can help the viewer to feel more involved in the story and to be more identified in the characters, with the characters in it? And the second one is, how do you usually work with the composer of your moves during the production? Do you assign a script already written on which to compose the music, or do you work together during the production and the scenes of the script emerge parallel to the music? Thank you very much.
Who wants to answer?
I can start.
Okay.
I'll be brief, but absolutely the soundtrack and all of the music and the film, will absolutely heighten or guide or intensify the viewer's experience of the story. I do think sometimes you just have to be very careful because it can also overwhelm. If you're viewing a film and you become too aware of the music, that's not good either, if it pulls you out of the story. So it's a fine balance. And for me personally, it's always absolutely once you have filmed the movie, because the composer has to work with the images and the edit and the camera work and, the emotion.
Yeah, I'm agree with you, of course. Sometimes on my last film I worked, it was a woman composer, Delphine Malocena. She did a great job on Oxana. We start talking and she started composing some tracks when I was writing the script, I remember. I was sending her a version of the script and she started to imagine a little bit the voice of Oxana or something who could maybe follow the character, the sadness and the Christian point of view on this life story. So and I remember when she saw the images, she did some new tracks, and at the end I choose some of the ones she composed when she was reading the script. So Depends.
Well, I think soundtrack is more than essential. And yes, for my movies especially, I wanted to do this Happyland I'm presenting here. I wanted to do a movie for musician without music. But I wasn't allowed at the end. So I found another woman, actually a woman I know, Dorit Kreisler, a theremin artist. And we said, okay. Theremin. You know
Dorit.
You know Dorit.
She used to be in New York. Yeah.
Yes, I know. Yes, maybe it's the same. Well, and Dorit and I then decided, okay, we tried to get into the mind of this. So she was kind of an actor as well, because we tried to build a soundtrack of a woman who is always thinking in songs, and on a certain age, not that she wasn't that successful, and now she's looking for something, at least one big thing, yeah, and but yeah, and so she was in the script and in the and then she was redoing. And I always put something not made by the film composer, because I think you need to break every movie. You need some break of music.
I second what she said. Wait till the film is done, picture locked, because you can try all. But by the time the director, I myself, what vision I had from day one of script until that changed. So you would hate me if I like briefed you on the first day and then you came on the last day and then shooting or editing and I'm like, okay, actually, we're going in a different direction. But I would say the greatest thing that I found quite helpful with music, because sometimes it's like there are projects where a lot of music works. Like La La Land, okay? And there are projects where music will actually kill the tone of the film, and you won't quite know that, obviously, until the film. But then if you're kind of somewhere in between, doing a lot of trial and error, a lot of test screenings, it really helps with kind of, that's from my experience, from understanding placement of music, if it's, or the amount of it. But again, it's a really subjective dance you're doing with the director at this point. So it's hard to give you like a specific answer, because it really ends up being like I said, a dance with you and the director.
Yeah, absolutely. In my experience as a producer or as a director, it depends on the type of film, as you said. Sometimes in horror, it's very important to have like a soundtrack that is getting with these sounds that are a bit uncomfortable, that is preparing you for something uncomfortable. And sometimes in a very naturalistic film, if you overdo it with the music, you're off completely. So it depends on the kind of film, on the kind of director. It depends. I know that some directors they do it. They use reference music when they work with composers, to get in the vibe of the film. Some composers don't like it. Some composers prefer to bring like a fresh approach. It depends. There is no
and even
formula.
like if they use reference, like I use reference, but then I'm like, I don't want anything like the reference. So it's like, okay, you're confusing me. Did you want that? Or so yeah, I mean, just don't rush the music part. It really should take its time in the last phase.
And make friends with the editor.
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Javiera. First of all, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for your work. And you mentioned that actors with big names should ask for more female directors. How does that work? How do they ask for female directors when, there's so much of the production that's taken care of and they just get the role?
Well, no, what I was referring to is, okay, like she said, Hollywood, maybe it's not something that we're consuming in films here in Europe, for instance, but it's a model that kind of, whatever's happening there, it ends up having some sort of trickle-down effect or like domino effect all across the globe. And so what I'm saying is, okay, the bad version of this is, okay, Daniel Craig, you're gonna go make James Bond number 77. Why don't you go ask them for a female director? Why don't you go ask for Catherine Bigelow? She's done action. In this scenario, no, there is something called star power. The stars are, and it's really kind of like follow the money. Like she said, why are certain films getting greenlit? Because I know that if I put, Hugh Jackman in this film, he can sustain a budget of X amount because he could cover his costs with first week revenue for X amount. So he has some power, some say, functionally in the business of the film.
And has anyone done that?
We're auteur filmmakers here.
Yeah.
So in most cases, we're writing our own scripts. We're writing films that we're going to direct, and hopefully there won't even be a question that we're going to direct, even though there might be, But yeah, in Hollywood, a lot of times the producers, they buy the screenplay or they option the book or whatever. They have the film and then they package it and they get the stars, and then the director will be hired sometimes later.
Yeah.
Like it won't.
And has anyone done that already? Has anyone asked for a female director and they've put one because the star asked?
Well, I think a lot of actors are asking for Greta Gerwig, or not.
Margot
I think
Robbie,
it's a-
no?
I don't know. Apparently,
Margot Robbie, she asked for Greta, no? For directing Barbie.
Yes,
So
I think we need
Yeah.
a change of mind, and it's on the way.
Like it's not going to affect you as an independent filmmaker at this stage, because the chances of you working with Tom Cruise and being completely honest, or me for that matter, it's like zero. But what it means is when you see a shift coming from the top, it sends a message to the rest of the industry. Hello, we are in demand. Start thinking of us differently. That's all.
Yeah.
It will change because it's chic now.
Well, I have to say that even if we are in Europe, we don't function like the same way that the American studios. It's true that there is an influence, and it's true that there is a domino effect, and it is also true that when you have a big budget, for instance, if you want to finance a big French film, you need a big French star. You cannot do a film over 10 million euros with nobody, regardless of how auteur is your director, or how recognized in Cannes or wherever. At the end of the day, when you put a lot of money on something, the people that gives you the money is because they want to make sure that that money is coming back somehow. So
Thank you.
that's an effect everywhere. Thank you for your question. Javiera.
Hi, I'm Blanca, and I'm making like a study about feminism and like how it affects on art. And I want to ask you if you, like, for being a woman in a big field like film, but to take a little part on that, do you feel comfortable about being called a feminist, or like to your films being like titled as with a feminist like topic? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel comfortable about having this title? Do you consider yourself a feminist just because of this, or like do you think that this is something that is given for you, or you know I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain it, but you like give yourself this title, or people call you just this because of who you are? Thank you. I don't know if you understand what I mean. No.
Let me rephrase it
Yes.
and see if I do it right. She wants to know if just because you are a female director, you are being called a feminist, and if for you to be perceived as a feminist is a good thing, or you don't care.
Yes.
I'm a woman, I'm a feminist, I'm sorry.
Sorry?
I'm a woman, I'm a feminist, that's all I can...
No, but she's right in asking the question, because lately with this idea, since we've seen that more and more young people are getting more conservative everywhere.
Absolutely.
This is a world movement, you know. A lot of young girls are now not wanting to be called feminist. So I think that your question...
The question was absolutely right.
She's very young, so I think it's more generational. It goes that obviously generation, you know, but you're a young person, and I know that this is something that is around young generations. So
Yes, like
I mean,
what I want to know is like, just because you work in this field, you are considered a feminist just because you are a woman, or do you think that you need to call yourself that because of this?
What do you think?
I think that yes, maybe you should. Like, I consider myself a feminist because of that, because like I have to show my story through my art, like somehow.
But I think we don't have to consider or not that we are or not a feminist. You know what I
Yes,
mean? For example, me, when I start, I didn't think. That's what I did. I put my brain there and I just feel. So I didn't give a shit about feminism. And actually, that was not a concern for me. When I look all the film I did, I am a feminist, but I don't want to be a feminist. You know what I mean? It's like I'm becoming a feminist because the society need a point of view like mine, or like there, to talk about woman condition. And it happened that my film are talking about women behaving, woman trauma, woman condition, because in fact, inside of me, I want to talk about that. But I don't ask myself. I think we need to be careful on those times. We are thinking too much. Sorry, I'm always like, stop singing, but we are analyzing everything all the time. At one point, I think this is not so interesting anymore, because I don't know how to tell. Like we can talk for ages about feminist or not feminist, but what we need to talk about is emotion, on behavior, on point of view in this world. Like what we are telling is like we are making film because we have something to say. Okay, that's enough. Like I think
that's pretty good. You know, that's the reason. The etiquettes. You know, the labels come later. First you are, and then you are called. First you show something, and then that thing is given a name. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
When we'll go for you, and then we go there.
Hello. Thank you for what you shared. I'm Gloria, and my question is, if you weren't making films, what would you do?
Die.
If you know.
Some other art, I would say.
Poof. I would have loved to be a dermatologist. I would have been loved to be like my friends who are just sitting around making sourdough starter and no, but honestly, I don't know what I would have been doing. I really don't. All I know is I would have been trying to do something to make a difference in terms of my beliefs and my ethics in terms of the world. But yeah, it could have been anything, man.
I mean, I've thought if I had many lives, I would want to be an Egyptologist in one, an ornithologist. I'm a bird watcher. I'm obsessed with birds. And I would think I would be writing and painting and, you know, doing, which I still want to do. As a child, I wanted to be a painter, but I could never recreate what I saw in my head, you know, with my hands. And that's when I sort of turned more to photography and video and sort of more working with reality. But yeah, I'd still be doing visual arts, I think. You?
Me, I will die. No, that's maybe too much. But I don't know. You know, I became a filmmaker because it was a visual necessity to tell story, to probably change the point of view of the society about women. So it was also a way for me to understand myself. And I realized that every film I'm doing, I don't know nothing when I start. In fact, I do film to dig a question that I cannot answer. Probably maybe at the end I will have a glimpse of an answer, but not a full answer. So it's a bit like to be un chercheur, how we say,
Searcher.
searcher, archaeologist or something like that, you know.
Gold nuggets.
But really, I don't know what I would do, and I could not live without my job. Like my job is really my family as well, my passion, it's very important for my mental health. I'm doing a lot of sport and I'm doing a lot of film. Like I need that to be as well. What's important for me to be as a filmmaker is I find my mission, you know, something like I'm telling a story that are, I hope, bigger than myself, and I can change a little bit the world, on the people, and create a debate, and I think this is really important in life to find your mission, you know. Why are you on earth for? That's what I ask myself. Like, I need to find something, because it's too much violence, too much everything, terrible stuff happening all over. Like, we can change, we can make, but I'm nothing as well, because I'm only an artist, you know. I didn't invent the peacemaker. I'm not a doctor in the front line, you know, on the war country. Like, I'm nothing. So it's really important also to remember that. I think I moved from the original question, but
but you make art which helps people, and think how much art has helped you. You know, it's an important role as well. Yeah.
So we go to the next question.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is gonna be, we have only time for one more question apart from this one. So we have somebody here, and then we'll go to you. And unfortunately, we don't have much time.
Thank you to all of you. Just one of the things I was thinking about was the question about quotas and how important, and your discussion about quotas was really impressive. But as I'm an educator, and so when I write a syllabus, I have a choice to include women directors. And I don't do it because I'm a feminist. I don't do it because I do it because your voice needs to be heard. Your vision needs to be heard. And we live in a society that premia, so many other voices. And so I would just encourage everyone to listen to the voices and the visions that we hear from women directors here at this festival, and bring that dialogue, bring that conversation to friends, family. In my case, it'll be the classroom. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because, educators are so important for it's the base of what we become as society.
Base of the society.
Sometimes
Can I
feel
just say,
that
the first time I saw a female filmmaker was Maya Duran's Meshes of the Afternoon when I was in high school. And that was not just like a female filmmaker, but that was a very certain type of filmmaking. So thank you for putting us in your syllabus. I mean, a lot of the curation, whether it's coming at the top in Hollywood or in your schools, your classes, suggested lists, even on Netflix.
totally. Yeah.
The more that we kind of push for that in a way that doesn't come with all the stigma that's attached to the term feminist, the better it will actually help the cause.
Absolutely. Yeah. So lucky your students are very lucky to have you.
Hello, thank you all for the opportunity of being here. I have the same question for all of you. It's Could you tell us something about your pitching? Your first pitches and the ones that you do nowadays? Thank you.
I didn't.
The way you do your pitch. Once you have everything done and
you want to know how they pitch their films?
Yeah. Thank you.
How do you pitch your films? What is important in pitching your films?
And what you did before?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I think this is actually to bring it back to young people who are trying. Sometimes you're always looking at the festivals and you're looking at what did they support, what grants, what films got what, and you're trying to kind of almost reverse engineer what do I need to say to get my film done. But I found that me just being me in the pitching room and being honest about my flaws and my passion and whatever is driving me to make this story, the more raw you are in that pitching room, the more likely the person in front of you is going to be like, okay, she's not bullshitting me. She probably, that's the story I'd be curious to hear. She's kind of on something. But yeah, I know there's always a tension between do I check off their boxes or... Yeah.
I think also why are you the one to tell this story? Whatever the story is, whether it's narrative, whether it's a documentary, why you? What's your connection to the subject matter, or what's your vision for it? Why they should give you the opportunity to make this film versus someone else? What can you bring to it that nobody else can?
Yeah, exactly. For me, this is the most important. Is to tell your own point of view, your own vision. So, and you need to grip the people you pitch to, the same way that the film will grip the audience. So, with passion, and you need to be short and straight to the point. And why you? That's definitely the more important, I think.
Evi, what do you have to say?
I made both experiences. First, I was very confident and authentic. I would say it's one of the most important, as you said, just to be authentic and to show them that you burn for this story. This I did on the first one. The second one, I was like following what they say, and if I say maybe if I change this and if I say that, then I get the money easier. Just authentic and burn for your story.
The only thing I could add is, first of all, to be authentic, and the second thing I will say is to be organized. Mm-hmm. So you don't drive everybody else
That's
crazy.
The producer, huh? The producer is watching you in the room. On short.
To be organized. Yeah. Just organized. The way you are organized, That's the only thing I will say. I don't think you have to tick boxes and you have to... No, just be yourself, bring passion to the story, and be organized.
Passion and focus.
Passion and focus, exactly. It has to come like the Austrian lady to put us in focus.
This is because I'm from the mountains.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you very much. We have to finish this. Muchas gracias a todos.
Thanks very much, and thanks to Sarah, to Evi, to Charlène, and to Eva. And I do recommend to all of you to view some of these movies because you will feel grateful to me once you've seen them.
Sentadas, paradas.
Venga, de pie.
Picture.
Sí.